Since starting my marketing agency in 2020, I've worked with tons and tons of e-commerce founders and operators, those that are just starting and launching their e-commerce brand, to those that are doing 7 figures a year, 8 figures a year, and even 9 figures a year in revenue. And a lot of those brands we've helped scale to those stages. And one thing outside of e-commerce that I'm passionate about is human performance and optimization. So how do we get better at, maintaining our energy levels, at getting better focus, at being more productive, etc., etc. And I've done a lot of studying and analyzing and experimentation with myself over the years. And I've also worked with some coaches in the health space to really understand, how do you optimize the human body and the mind to achieve its fullest potential? And the reason why I'm creating this video today is because I've worked with a ton of e-commerce founders, but this sort of thing is left on the back burner or maybe isn't even known by founders. And the main premise of this video is that if you want to build a brand, a business that is going to be sustainable for years to come, and you're going to be able to continue working at the same rate and put in the same amount of energy and effort as you are today in 10 years from now, depending on, how long you want to run your brand. Even if you want to exit in 5 years, it's the same. Like you need to avoid burnout, right? And you need to build a sustainable approach to operating your e-commerce brand and working and having quote unquote balance in your life, focusing on the foundational pillars that will allow you to maintain the amount of effort and energy required to build, scale, and eventually, if you want to exit your e-commerce brand when the time comes. Okay. Now, the things I'm going to be covering in this video are 3 different foundational principles when it comes to optimizing the human body and the human mind for better performance. And if you apply what I'm about to share with you in this video, I guarantee that you will notice a difference in the way you feel, the way you focus, how much you can get done in the time that you allocate to work. And you're just going to get more leverage, right? If you are a business owner and you know about leverage, which I'm sure you do, leverage is the key to scaling a business. And leverage comes in different ways. But if you are of clearer thinking, you can also make better decisions, right? And as a business owner, as CEO, operator, whatever it is, the decisions that you make are critical. They are the key to everything, right? They are going to be the determining factor as to whether your business is successful or unsuccessful. The buck stops with you as the business owner, and the decisions you make are the lifeblood of the business, right? As long as you remain CEO or the operator. Now, before we do dive into the 3 different pillars that I'm going to share with you today, I just want to share proof that I'm qualified to speak about the topic of, scaling e-commerce brands and knowing and having worked with these founders and understanding at what they're going through, right? I run a business myself. I run a marketing agency. We help e-commerce brands scale to 8 figures and multiple 8 figures. And the way that we do that is through done-for-you services. If that's something you're interested in, if you're interested in having a team completely manage your Facebook ads, your Facebook ad creative, and even just come in and do like part of your ad creative because you already have multiple creative agencies, then that is exactly what we do. And we help e-commerce brands scale profitably. We do like to pair marketing and finance together to take a holistic approach and understand that we're not just running some ads, but we're actually building a profitable e-commerce brand. So you can see, quick refresh on this dashboard, last 12 months, one of our e-com brands that we work with, just over $9.3 million in revenue. I'm scaling towards the 8-figure range. By the way, if you're a new viewer here, my name is Jordan Hayes. I actually run a marketing agency where we help e-commerce brands scale their revenue profitably. Now, if you're running an e-commerce brand, you're doing over 100K per month in revenue, and you're facing challenges with scale, maybe your ads or your funnel is not working as well as it used to or should be, or even if it's just a lack of time and resource to put into scaling this part of the business, then that's exactly what we help with. So down below this video, there'll be a link to book a call with me. We'll have a conversation about your business, learn more about the challenges, your objectives, and see if there's a fit for us to work together. Worst case scenario, I can provide some insights as we're seeing with our other clients to help you at your current stage of your business. And as I mentioned, this is for brands who are doing at least 100K per month in revenue and they need help with scaling and obviously want to scale profitably. And in the way in which we help brands scale is we provide services across both customer acquisition and customer retention, done-for-you services which are completely hands-off. We take care of everything for you, and that includes media buying, CRO, landing pages, ad creative, email marketing, SMS marketing, overall growth strategy, lifetime value optimization, all that stuff, okay? So with that said, let's get back to the video. So as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, being an e-com business owner or operator comes with a lot of responsibility, and you have to make key decisions on a daily basis that affect your business. And a lot of times you'll need to make judgment calls based on your experience, knowledge, and also your intuition. It's therefore important that you are in a position and mind state to make the best decisions that you can. This is what most people fail to do. And most people try to shortcut it in other ways, which may work in the short term, but trust me, it does not work in the long term. And we're in this for the long game, right? If you want to build a sustainable business, this stuff is the key, right? Without your health, you cannot do anything. So let's dive into pillar number 1, which is sleep. Now, likely you've heard a lot about sleep. It's become a lot more popular in recent years, but sleep is the first and arguably the most important foundational pillar of optimizing your decision making and energy. It is really what sets you up for a good day or a suboptimal day. So the first thing I recommend you do is you need to measure something, right? Because if you don't measure it, then you can't improve it. As an ecom business owner, you're measuring everything, right? But you're not measuring probably one of the most important things to your health, which is your sleep. And look, maybe you already are, which amazing, right? So you can use a wearable device like an Aura or a Whoop to track sleep metrics and of course benchmark your progress. I use an Aura ring, and actually I don't use it every single night. What I do is every few months, I wear it for a few days, maybe a week, and I just benchmark where I'm at, right? I don't like wearing technology to bed. It's not my preference. So I'd rather just get a benchmark and see where I'm at, course correct a little bit, optimize, and then, just continue in that same routine moving forward, right? So that'll be the first thing. The next thing is time in bed. And, what this means is that just because you're in bed for 8 hours does not mean you're actually asleep for 8 hours, right? And what I do is I aim for 9 hours in bed, and that just means I get at least 8 hours of actual sleep, right? Because you have these wake ups, and you have wake ups in the middle of the night, all these things that takes time to get to sleep, etc., etc. And really what you want to optimize for is deep sleep. You want to try and get 2.5 to 3 hours of deep sleep per night, and your measurement, your wearable, is going to tell you exactly how much deep sleep you got. And if you do get like 8 hours 15, 8 hours 30 of actual sleep, your chances of getting that more deep sleep is higher, right? So that's just the key right there. I notice a difference when I don't get at least 8 hours of sleep. Maybe, I know some people who can operate on 6 or even less. Like, again, you have to test what works for you. What I'm sharing you to do aren't hard and fast rules. It's what's worked for me, and also what I've seen work best with the science that I've learned over the years. Okay. Next thing is a wind down ritual. So just like you have a kind of like a wake up routine, you need a wind down routine. And the quality of your morning starts with a wind down routine. And there's some rules I follow that are, again, scientifically proven to help with sleep. First is avoid eating 3 hours before bed. If it can be more, even better. When I'm really focused, I stop eating 6 hours before I go to sleep. The reason why is because when you eat, your body needs to digest. It needs to use energy to digest. If it's using the energy to digest food, then the body is taking energy away from recovery, right? Which happens during your sleep. And also, while the body is digesting food, it is creating heat. Your body temperature is increasing, which can lead to a wake up in the middle of the night, which obviously is going to disrupt your sleep. Okay. Second thing is no alcohol. Alcohol is proven to raise the body temperature, which again leads to more likely to increase wake ups in the middle of the night. No caffeine afternoon, because that again can just keep you awake. Even if you're asleep, you're actually still awake because of the amount of caffeine. And also avoid bright screens in the wind down ritual. Ideally, 30 to 40 minutes before bed. This is like one of the hardest things for people to do. If you cannot avoid bright screens at all, then I'd wear like blue light blocking glasses or kind of a orange tinted glasses that block out the harmful light that's coming from the screen, but also just to block out pretty much any light in general, or any like strong light before you go to bed, to increase melatonin production, which is the sleep hormone that makes you sleepy and that gets you to sleep. Next thing is the sleep environment. So there's 3 main components to a great sleep environment: a dark room, a cold room, and a quiet room. Okay, so dark room, of course, like blackout curtains, whatever it is, just make sure there's no light at all. A cold room, you want to have the temperature of the room be quite consistent throughout the night, and you also want to have a quiet room. If you want to go a step further, you can get an 8 sleep mattress, if you want to go a step further, you can get an 8 sleep mattress cover, which is temperature controlled, and it's going to cool or heat your bed for you. They have some cool features where it actually follows your body temperature throughout the night, so it auto regulates based on your own body temperature to make sure that you're not going to get too cold or too hot. So it kind of optimizes it in real time, and it also optimizes it based on the sleep cycle that you're in. So whether you're in REM sleep, deep sleep, light sleep, your body goes through different temperature stages. Even if it's like minimal fluctuations, it optimizes the temperature of this mattress cover for you in real time, as I mentioned, which is pretty cool. So that would be like kind of, if you're really into your stuff, you definitely get one of those. It's a game changer. Now, when it comes to actually waking up, so I'd recommend using a light alarm clock. What this means is it's basically a light and an alarm clock in one. It's like an illumination light, and what it does is it basically mimics the sun, right? Like sunrise, and it is a natural, smoother wake up that doesn't spike cortisol. I used to use my phone, which would like go off like blaring in the morning, and it would spike my cortisol, spike my stress, which is the worst way you can start the day, right? You want to start it smooth and you want to ease into the day, and that is ultimately the best way to do it, okay? Other things, I guess, with sleep: go to bed at the same time, wake up at the same time every day. I know as a business owner, it's like one of the most hardest things to do, but if you do be very strict with that, you're going to get into a much better rhythm and a circadian rhythm of getting better sleep. Getting sunshine in the morning, again, helps with the circadian rhythm to know when it's time to be awake and when it's time to go to sleep, etc. There's just some additional tips. Okay, let's get into the second pillar, which is nutrition. Now, nutrition is the fuel for the body. What you put into your body directly impacts your mind clarity and also your decision-making quality. It impacts your energy levels as well. So 3 main things here. And I'm just going to tell you what I do. Again, this is like, it could be different for different people, right? You have to find what works for you. I'm going to tell you what works for me and what I've seen from the science, and then you can experiment yourself. First thing is to eat whole foods. So whole foods are basically real foods. They don't have anything more than just the food itself. So there's no other ingredients. These are real non-processed foods. I avoid preservatives, seed oils, and sugar for stable energy. Okay. Now, of course, sugar is refined processed sugar, the sugar that you find in packaged goods. The sugar that you find in fruit, I don't avoid that, right? I eat, like a banana, for example, is a whole food, right? It's not processed. So I eat that, right? I do limit the amount of sugar I do intake, just because I don't want to be, eating a ton of sugar. But this is the main premise, and it's the easy rule to follow. Just eat whole foods. The seed oils, like, there's a lot of research on that. You can go ahead and do your own research. But I focus on cooking with ghee or extra virgin olive oil, and I avoid pretty much anything else. Avocado oil and I think coconut oil are also good options as well. So when it comes to intermittent fasting, now I fast for 16 hours at least per day for better self-repair, focus, and mental clarity. There's a lot of science around how fasting helps the body recover, helps the body clean out the cells. But also an added benefit of this is that when you're not eating, your body is not using energy to digest food. So when you wake up and do your morning work, which is usually the most important, right? You maybe have important meetings, maybe you have work blocks where you're pushing, very strategic things of the business forward, then that is when you want to be at your highest focus and productivity. And if you, for example, for me, I have water, coffee, I take a nootropic, and I get to work, right? And then I don't eat until pretty about midday, 1 p.m., which is when I break the fast very gently with some fruit or some nuts or some kefir. And that kind of sets me into a rhythm of waking up, being able to get those big work blocks done with the highest peak of focus. And then in the evening time is when I do more of the kind of admin, less taxing work on the mind. Okay. Third is controlled intake of alcohol, sugary drinks, caffeine, like just keeping that under control. And again, like I'm going to share a rule that I have at the end of this video, which is going to kind of tie everything together. But again, just like everything in moderation, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Third is exercise, right? So moving the body. And third is exercise and moving the body. And what I'm about to say is not something I used to believe a few years ago, but it's something that I've come to realize more and more over the years. And what you do away from your computer fuels the work you do at your computer, supercharging your creative output and unlocking velocity. Okay. Now, you might think that, okay, if I just sit behind my computer for 14 hours a day, I'm going to get a lot done, right? And you will get a lot done compared to other people. But I think the true unlock of a business owner comes from when you're able to do more work in less time, and you're able to prioritize, but you're also able to automate, delegate, and remove things that you should not be doing, right? Because a lot of times the time spent is just busy work, right? So what you want to do is you want to try and do more in less, and you do that by being more productive, but also forcing yourself and creating the capacity expansion. But another thing is being able to come back to your computer with mind clarity, and exercise is a great way to help you to do that, is to help you make better decisions. You want to find something that you enjoy doing for exercise and do it a few times per week. This just makes it more likely that you're actually going to do the thing. Some of you guys may not have a problem with this, right? You may love the gym and go to the gym every day. Okay, amazing, right? Then you probably don't need a push on this. But another thing is walks and sunlight. So another thing is walks and sunlight. So most days I go for a walk. It's anywhere from like 30 minutes to 45 minutes. And I also just like to get outdoors, get sunlight. That's great for your brain. It's great for circadian rhythm. Get sunlight in your eyes. Just do that in the morning, and then you can also do a walk later on in the day, which is going to help you refuel, recharge, and come back with a clear mind. And mental refuel, as I mentioned, be away from the computer and refuel with creative activities, meditation, or something else that gives you energy. So it doesn't always have to be exercise. Exercise is important for other reasons as well, not just being more creative at work and being more productive at work, but there's other ways that you can fuel your creativity and take your mind off of work, right, and just kind of reset. And that just could be meditation, it could be something else that you like and enjoy doing. Okay, so those are really the 3 different areas. Now, I want to end and wrap it all together with the 90% rule. So with everything I just told you, I have this thing called the 90% rule. And this means that 90% of the time, I'm locked in on this protocol, right? I follow it to the T. And 10% of the time, I don't follow it and enjoy the other things. So this just means I don't fall off the protocol. So usually, let's just say on a weekend, right? On a Saturday, I take the weekends off. I didn't used to, and I would encourage you as a business owner that I know in the early days, you need to be working 7 days a week and those on those long days. But over time, I found that the weekends was a way to reset and come back on Monday stronger, and also collect different thoughts, come up with new ideas, being able to process decisions I made throughout the week. And when you can get to this stage, again, it's about being able to do more in less time. And what that means is that you can have your weekends open. So for me on the weekends, when I do take that time off, I kind of tap into a little bit of that 10% rule where I can enjoy some other things in life. And what it just means is that I don't fall off the wagon, right? Because there's something called the elastic band effect, where you can go so far in one direction that you end up going completely again in the other direction. It's what most people do when they try and diet, right? They try and diet hard with these new habits they don't have yet, and they just end up going way back in the direction, and any weight that they lost is immediately put back on, okay? And what we want to do is we want to avoid that. So the 90% rule is a great way to do that. It's a great way to avoid you doing that. Another way you could do this is you can have maybe like a month or 2 months of where you're like fully locked in, and then you have a month where you're like a little bit more relaxed on the protocol. You're enjoying, different foods a bit more, etc., etc. That is just another way you can do it. Ultimately, it's whatever works best for you. Okay, so hopefully this video gave you some insight into a different area of running a business. And as I mentioned, this is something I'm passionate about outside of running, my agency, outside of working with e-commerce brands, outside of helping those brands scale, is how do we actually become better at running the business and optimize ourselves, optimize our brains. I think of business owners or athletes, and they use their mind as the muscle, right? We're not like football players or hockey players, like whatever, that use different muscles, use their body in different ways, right? For us, it's the mind. So how do we keep the mind clear, and how do we keep our energy levels at a stable rate that's allowing us to operate the business and scale the business that we want to scale, okay? So as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, if you are looking for a partner to help you come in and scale your e-commerce brand, then this is exactly what my company does. We offer different services across different parts of the funnel. But if you're interested in the specifics of ad creative and meta ads media buying, or you just want us to come and do one of those, then there's a link below this video in the description. You can go to my website, you can book a call with me, we'll talk about your business and understand if there's a fit for us to work together. All right, that's it for this one, and I'll see you in the next video.